Exactly. Exactly. All right. Okay. So, folks, we are now live. We are approximately 20 minutes behind schedule, which, if you've ever followed us, you know that that is ahead of schedule. So, yeah. So we are running late as usual. But I want to thank all the folks who I know will follow us. In fact, I'm confident we'll have a few of our most ardent fans will tune in and check out what's going on and immediately start trying to download us. So, so that's always fun. But anyways, this is episode 2 of our show Pitch Session, and that should be on the screen here. I'm going to try to get on the screen here shortly in just a moment. Let's see if I can get this bad boy up and running. But let's see here. There we go. It's always fun, folks. Always fun trying to get this stuff to work the way you want it to. It's never as easy as it seems. But there we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna get this up and running here and share it. And there you go, folks. This is Pitch Session, the brand new show from Saturday A.M. that focuses on in-depth discussion of pitches that we receive for folks who actually wish to have a chance to check, want to get into the comics business. So I see the amount of discussion already in the chat room, Jay, and they're saying these guys are never on time. And you know what? That is a slight to us. That is 100% accurate. We're never on time. Although I will say, Jay, I think you can back me up on this. We're always on time for our magazine. The magazine always comes out when it's supposed to, but when it comes to these YouTube shows,
it's true.
Yeah, the YouTube shows are not that good.
We it's always a learning process.
It is a learning process.
Get it done.
It smells good. Exactly. I'd love to be arrogant enough to be able to say, hey, it's always worth it. I can't say that, but what I can say is that we try. We certainly try to make a good YouTube show, and most people who check it seem to really enjoy it. We have, of course, our small group of haters who always try to take pot shots at us, but far more people love the shows that we do, and we're very, very thankful for that. If you guys aren't familiar who we are Saturday A.M. We are the world's most diverse shonen manga anthology. I'm your host, Frederick L. Jones. I'm the founder and publisher of Saturday A.M. And with me is a very young man named Jay Oden. And
what's going on, guys?
Jay Oden is the creator of Hammer, which is really cool. It's a really fun series about actually, I'll let Jay tell us. Jay, what is Hammer all about?
Hammer's about this kid named Stud who gets sucked into his father's journal, and now he has to find a way out while battling the dangers around him, while using his abnormal ability to turn any part of his body into a hammer. So it's kind of your typical shonen manga, but kind of with a few twists and turns that I think everybody who likes the story so far will enjoy.
And people do love the manga. I got to say, Jay is one of the most exciting new members to join Saturday A.M. In the last year, we've received creators ranging from amazing creators like Morgan Walker, who does Soul Beat, Tony Dawkins of Titan King, Anthony Jackson and Bharat Lujani, who do Mutton Chop. But Jay has sprung on the scene, and he has just been extraordinary. And we've been so excited and so proud to have Jay as part of our family. Hammer is one hell of a story, and so if you want to check it out, folks, you actually can do so. You can start reading the latest volume of material. Now, we've not released the first volume yet. We will shortly, and please stay tuned for that information. But if you want to read the latest volume, you can do so with the cover you see on screen right here, issue number 88. You can go onto our website right now, and you can actually download it for free. This is one of our Summer of Manga issues, and so we have it free for a limited time. And you actually can go there and not only check out some amazing stories from some of our existing creators, but you can check out some great content from creators that are up and coming. Last episode of Pitch Session, as a matter of fact, we actually reviewed the content within this issue. But today's Pitch Session, we're actually going to be reviewing a different issue, and that is issue number 89. You see the cover here is features Z Forever, which is one of our most popular series, and by Mark Reed. And this issue does have two all new Summer of Manga titles. One from Jeff Duvall, aka Frey. He's got a comic in here called DID, and then another from Christina Underbach, who has a comic called Grimm. So we're going to talk a little bit about Summer of Manga. I know a lot of people are maybe have some questions about it, and why we're reviewing those in particular for Pitch Session. And then likewise, we'll talk more about what we mean by pitches. But let's start off by just giving a little bit of information about Saturday A.M, who we are and what we do. And long story short, folks, if you love shonen manga, if you love Naruto and One Piece and Dragon Ball and just really cool, unique content like that, and of course we all do, then you should check us out. Saturday A.M is the world's most diverse shonen manga anthology. And what that means is that we feature shonen level content by manga style artists who are from all over the world. We have creators literally from Nigeria to Nicaragua to New Zealand, huge countries and superpower countries like the United States of America to China, and all in between. So, you know, if you love seeing new creators, if you love seeing content that is really original, if you love seeing content that is arranged and distributed in a way that feels like traditional manga, meaning that we serialize the 16 different series that we currently run exclusively, we serialize them within each of the issues. And so, so if you love titles like Apple Black by White Manga, Clock Striker, Matching with the Player World of Ghost, Soul Beat, Saigami, Bully Eater, Z Forever, Spoon, Crunch Time, and so on, then you absolutely will love Saturday A.M. And of course, again, two of our newest series are in two of the latest issues, Hammer by our guest today, Jay Oden. And our guest last episode, our very first episode, was Jin Chan Yumwai from China. He, of course, is the creator of Zero, which is the cover feature of our latest issue, which is issue number 90. You can subscribe to Saturday A.M on our website for just $5 for the whole year, get you 20 issues. And of course, if you want to experience more content and more opportunities, you can become a premium subscriber and get a lot more cool things from there. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But this is Saturday A.M. You can discover us at our website, www.saturday-am.com. Let's talk a little bit about Summer of Manga. Summer of Manga was something that bore out of something we did about a year after we started the magazine. So about 2014, we launched a concept called Pilot Manga. This was a private group that basically said, hey, you know, we were getting bombarded by people who wanted to join Saturday A.M, and we just could not manage that sort of demand. I'm literally from countries from Egypt to South Africa and so on. We were getting hit every day with requests from people who wanted to create content for us. Number one, you know, we're not like most other, independent manga resources, like some of your websites and so forth that you might go to. You know, we're set up, we produce a digital magazine first and foremost. A lot of places just basically put the content up there as webcomic pages. That's not how we roll. Number two is that, you know, we curate, meaning that we have a very focused list of creators or number of creators that we're willing to work with. Some of that is due to just the size and the demands of working with new creators when you're not a particularly big company. The other part of that is that we have a very distinct idea of what it is we're trying to create. And we want to find creators that believe in the same things. And so it doesn't mean you have to believe in the same things we do in terms of, you know, religion or life or, you know, anything in terms of politics. But when it comes to the way that we feel that manga should be construed and should be constructed, the way that creators should try to produce content for the fan base, that is a very unique thing. And that's why we've had some creators who are incredibly talented but have not been able to fit within our system. And we've had other creators that that we'd love to work with, but we know that they can't fit in the system, so we don't even try to approach them. So so it's not easy to exist within the Saturday A.M paradigm, but it is possible. Obviously, creators like Jay Oden, who are professional comic creators. Jay's working on comic books for Oni Press. He's done stuff for Antarctic Press. He's not a webcomic artist. This is a guy who's worked for traditional comic book companies. For people like that to plug into Saturday A.M tells you that, you know, we're not some exclusive elite group, but we do have a very specific idea of who we are and what we do. So when we created pitch manga or a pilot manga, I mean, the idea was to try to give a community around that idea and to try to help younger creators find that sort of voice that they are looking for that can either help them with us or without us. And it just got way big. At one point, we had like 3,000 members. We had like another 1,000 people trying to get in. It just didn't make sense. It didn't work. We knew we couldn't do it justice because we couldn't talk to all the people who were in the group effectively. So we killed it about 2 years ago. Subsequently, every year since we started the magazine, we've done magazine issues in the summertime, and we tend to reveal new creators in the summertime. I don't know why that started that way, but it just did. So it became like Summer of Manga. And once we realized this was something that we were doing, and we realized that we had a lot of interest in getting into the magazine at this time frame, then we decided to say, screw it, let's just turn this into an event. So we now have this very popular event. And when I say popular, I mean, we get hundreds of people on a regular basis who try to get into this tiny pipe called Summer of Manga. But it's really cool. We meet amazing creators. We discover new creators who end up working with Saturday A.M. And it just becomes a great showpiece for creators. Whether you get into Saturday A.M. or not, it becomes a great opportunity for you to learn how to produce your content, how to sell your content, how to meet deadlines, how to think critically about what it is you're trying to do, how to separate yourself from the fanboy mentality. And, that's it. So Summer of Manga is the event. It's running right now. It began with issue number 88, which you can get for free on our website right now. And we just unveiled for subscribers, again, this is why you become a subscriber, folks. We just unveiled for subscribers the rules for Summer of Manga, the final wave, which is the final round of submissions we will take to get into the magazine with your short story. This now also includes Saturday PM, which is our adult or seinen style magazine. So Saturday AM, Saturday PM. If you are an independent creator, you want to get into these sort of publications with an original short story, your opportunity is already here. It has debuted last week for our subscribers, and it will be available for free on our website starting next week, or starting Monday. I'm sorry, this coming Monday. So that being said, we're going to be reviewing Summer of Manga, and the two we're going to be reviewing today, we're going to be reviewing more than two, but the two we're going to be reviewing today debuted in issue number 89. Again, you can get that issue right now for free and let us know your own thoughts. The two titles in question are D.I.D. by Jeff Duvall and Grimm Haim by Christina Andabak. So with that being said, what I want to do right now is I want to run through very quickly what does a pitch actually mean? What are the 4 rules of pitching that we have? And I'd love to get Jay's perception of these. Obviously, the stuff that we've done for a long time, but Jay's been not in Saturday the whole time, so I'd love to get his thoughts on this. And then from there, we will begin reviewing some of these series. So with that being said, Jay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Folks, I had to make sure Jay was ready. I had to make sure Jay was ready. All right. So this is our first rule. Our first rule for a pitch is keep it simple. Now, let me explain what this means. If you are going to pitch a comic book to us, to Marvel, to DC, if you're pitching a movie script to Paramount Pictures, to Universal, then you should be following this one very simple rule. Keep it simple. What does that mean? 4 to 6 words. This meets that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Meets Batman. Sailor Moon meets Saw. I don't even know where I pulled that one out from, but Sailor Moon meets Saw. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. But
interesting.
Yeah, to say the least. And folks, that right there is what we're looking for. That's what any publisher, any distributor of content who looks at new content, that's what they look for. Right there is what Jay just said. That's interesting. Because if they're not interested, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much backstory you give them. It doesn't matter if you spend 5 minutes, 5 hours trying to convince them it's cool. If you can't grab them in 4 to 6 words, 10 to 15 seconds, then you're done. And the next question always comes up, well, okay, that's fine. But maybe my content is really close to like 4 or 5 different properties. So I don't want to just choose 2. I don't want to just say it's like this meets that. You know what, folks? It doesn't matter. Because if you go down the pathway of giving them something to hang their hat on, like Jay just showed you, it's either going to be interesting, it's going to be really, really exciting, or it's going to suck. And that's all subjective. It doesn't matter that it's any of those things. Actually, what matters is what the person thinks. And if the person hears your pitch and doesn't like it, there's nothing you can do to change that. And there's nothing worse than trying to change it, because at that point, you go from pitching something that just didn't connect with that person. It may connect with 5 other people. It didn't connect with that person. You go from going from something that did not connect to all of a sudden then becoming the person, the guy or the girl who's just desperate. Oh, no, it gets better. Let me tell you this. No. Okay, wait. Before you close the door, no. Let me tell you this idea. Don't be that person, because at that point, I can promise you they're checked out. Either they're going to find it interesting, they're going to like it, or they're going to hate it. And that's all you can ask for, is that you gave them something to think about. And if they think negatively of it, you tried your best. You're not going to win them all, and that's okay. Jay, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It should be short. It should be this meets that. And when you said it shouldn't be like 5 different properties, the fact that you can say it's this meets that with only 2 properties shows how good you are as a storyteller. It shows that you actually know what you're talking about on trying to sell your content. If you have to actually bring in 4 different properties, then that just means that either you didn't think hard enough about this, or, you know, your stuff is too complicated for the person that you're trying to tell this story to. My point is that it needs to be short, concise, clear, and interesting. And like the more interesting it is, the better it is.
Totally agree. All right, folks. Rule number 2. Remember, we got 4 simple rules for you to keep in mind whenever you try to pitch something. Rule number 2: have an online portfolio. Have an online portfolio. What does that mean? Instagram, a Facebook fan page, a Tumblr, your own website. Have an online portfolio. I'm going to put a tiny addendum to this one. Make sure that it is public. There is nothing more infuriating than telling someone, hey, I've got this great idea. And maybe you really do got a great idea. Maybe the pitch is awesome. We're excited. We go to check out your work and it's private. If it's private, then the first thing we think is that you're not serious. You're not a serious creator. You're not a serious person when it comes to creativity. And that sounds harsh, but it should sound harsh, because you're asking someone to take their time to pay attention to what you have to do. People are not living on your schedule. If someone is a publisher or distributor, they're producing content that you're buying, right? You're buying their stuff. So they've got a job. You want them to hire you to do more jobs. But you are not, they're not coming to you, you're going to them. So their time is a time that's being wasted, not yours. And so when you go to them and you don't have your stuff together, you don't have your content ready to show, especially if they're interested, especially if you stuck to my method or you had your own method, or if your mama knows their mama and say, hey, you check out Benjamin's stuff, it's great. If they're interested and you say, yeah, okay, well, it's great. Oh, you're awesome. You're really excited. Great. Here's my stuff. Go to this website and check it out. And they can't access it, or you don't have an online portfolio, then the first thing they will think is that this person thinks so little of me, my time, the opportunity to produce content professionally, that they can't even bother to put their stuff out there. Or, and this is not even better, or they'll think this person is so shy that they're afraid of what's going to happen if their stuff is out there for people to look at. And folks, if you're worried about people seeing your work on a thing, and I've heard every excuse, people steal my artwork, or, a lot of, because people they try to say nasty stuff. They always try to pick on me because of this and that. Folks, if you're worried about that, then don't become an actor, don't become a singer, don't become a cosplayer, don't become a comic book artist, don't become a comic book writer, don't do anything creative, because guess what? The only way that works is that you are actually involving yourself to the public. If you're afraid of the public response, then you're not going to make it. And so when you come to people to check out your work and you don't have your stuff together, it only makes you look bad. Anything on that, Jay? Anything else?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You should definitely have an online presence. Instagram, Facebook, all that would help. I will say, to piggyback off of what Fred was saying about, trying to apply for jobs and stuff, like comic books, I know that since comic books is such a fun idea and it's been around since forever ago, I mean, people don't really think of it as actually a job, but it is. I mean, like you still got to apply, you still got to jump through all these hoops and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes, some people get, bigger breaks than others, but for the most part, I mean, you still got to be able to prove yourself. And if you can't do that, or at least show that you can draw a circle on Instagram or wherever, then I mean, the fact that you want to draw a comic and have a 22 volume series isn't ever going to happen if you can't like show anybody something on Instagram. So, yeah, there you go.
Totally agree, folks. All right, rule number 3: submit your best. And this one is kind of like rule number 1, because it's, when you hear it, you think, well, obviously. You think obviously, but folks, trust me, this one's not obvious. That's why it's a rule. Submit your best means is that you are not in any hurry. It is astonishing to me when people get an opportunity like Summer of Manga, or DC has a writer's workshop, Marvel has a variety of intern programs for creators and so forth. All these guys kind of have something. They're all really hard, don't get me wrong, but they all have something. We're not the only ones who have something that's meant to kind of test your ability. But here's the thing. Submit your best. Obviously, yes, you got to submit your best artwork, clearly. Obviously, you need to submit your best story, clearly. But the thing that kills me is when people are in a rush, so they forget information. So Summer of Manga, for example, we get people filling out the form. You have to fill out a form for Summer of Manga. We get people who fill out the form, they forget to put in their age, they forget to put in their Instagram profile or their web account that we can go check out their artwork. I mean, they just literally forget it. One of my favorites is when for the Instagram, they'll remember to put Instagram, they just put Instagram.com. What the hell does that mean? How do I find your image in Instagram.com? What's your profile? Folks, when you are rushing to get content out because you're like, oh my God, this is my opportunity. I got to take it. I got to get in there. When you're thinking like that, you seem exactly like a fanboy or a fangirl. There is no difference in a fanboy or fangirl. When an opportunity presents itself, again, as Jay said, when it's a professional opportunity that you're after, you've got one simple objective, and that's to win. You don't win by being first. You win because you're not buying something. That's what a fanboy or fangirl does. They get in line. They got to be the first one to get their iPhone. Got to be the first one to get that Tight Kubo art book. That's what a fan does. A professional and a creator is worried about producing the best stuff that they can, because they know that if they're going to compete, they have to have a concept that's really good. They have to have something that's executed in a really, really decent way. They've got to have artwork that maybe it's not the best, but there are moments where the artwork really shines. They've got to have, lettering that looks really good. They've got to have their package together. When you're in a hurry and you leave out important information, or you have poorly laid out pages, then that's the worst thing possible, because you had a shot and you blew it acting like a fan. Don't be a fan. This is serious. Anything you add to that, Jay?
No, you said it all.
Jay, what I think people were hoping for, certainly Peter Kalingas, was that you would say no and laugh.
Well, thanks, Peter Kalingas. I appreciate you liking my laugh. Everybody does. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Final rule, folks. Rule number 4, be diverse. Now, of course, if you are someone who uses phrases like SJW, then you probably will take your own advice, be triggered, and your head will explode. But be diverse means really simple. This is not about race, although if you're in this day and age, if you're trying to create manga and creating yet another spiky hair character who's kind of an ethno chameleon, they're white or Japanese or something like that, then you're probably living in a fantasy world. That's not the real world. Black Panther didn't make $1 billion for nothing. People want to see unique stories all over the world. And so as a result of that, try to tell unique stories. There's nothing, frankly, more embarrassing than people trying to tell stories about Japanese characters because they're telling a manga style story and you've never been to Japan. You don't really know anything about Japan except for what you've seen on a cartoon. That is, I can promise you, my friends who are Japanese find that embarrassing. So please be diverse. What diverse means is don't always try to deliver Dragon Ball or Naruto because they're the most popular manga. Don't deliver My Hero Macadamia because that's what's hot right now. Think about a concept or an idea that's just a really good story, period. Think about how you can tell that story, period. Think about the things that you know, period. You know, if you've ever been to Japan, then don't tell a Japanese story. Tell a story about, Steubenville, Iowa, or tell a story about, Lisbon, Portugal. Tell a story about a place that you actually know, because that will mean that you'll be able to pull from experience. You'll be more confident, and you'll tell a story that frankly is probably more interesting because you're presenting ideas that people haven't seen. Everyone's poor rendition of Japanese stereotypes have been seen a gazillion times. So if you're a young kid from a small town in a country that does not look like Japan, is not Japan, stop trying to tell Japanese stories. It is embarrassing. It's not who you are. It's not what your character is. It's not something you understand, especially if it's your first time telling a story. It's just ridiculous. Focus on what you know, and you'll have more success. Be diverse. And then the last part about that is fan art. Be diverse also means artwork. I swear to God, we get more requests from people who draw the same manga character over and over. There's one guy in particular who probably is mega talented, but he reaches us every day, and I mean every day. And I give him credit for this because he draws every day, but every day. And it's the same character. I won't say who it is, but it's the exact same character. Very popular anime manga that we all love, or at least some of us all love. But folks, it is the same picture or same character. It might be different poses, but same character all the time. And you look at that and think, you're talented. But how do I know how talented you are? Because you don't draw backgrounds. You don't draw any other characters. You don't draw different body types. You don't draw different ethnicities. You don't draw different characters, because this one character is a very specific character. How do I know you have any ability? Although the images do look nice, they look like the original creator drew them. How do I know you have any real talent? Fan art is not enough. You've got to actually try to draw a background, try to draw a cityscape, try to draw a countryside, try to draw a truck, a car, a dog, a horse, a house. Try to draw things that any professional artist would have to draw. Jay, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're 100% right. I totally agree. I mean, fan art is fun, and I feel like it's more of a training session. It's just something to stretch your muscles, just to shut your brain off, and there you go. But I mean, you can't just have fan art to showcase your skills. You should always show backgrounds. You should always show poses. That is key. You should always show facial expressions. You should show hands. You should practice your inking skills, like the line width, and how shaky a line should be if they're trying to show more emotion, like they're terrified or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can practice when you draw. But I mean, to piggyback yet again off what Fred was saying about being diverse and stuff, I agree. I mean, in this day and age, there's so many comics that look exactly like the last thing, and you got to stick out somehow. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and I feel like the best way is to be as imaginative as you possibly can be. Try to know what you're talking about when you tell a story. Try to execute it in the best way you possibly can. I just want to there's actually a book that I think everybody should get if you ever get a chance. It's called Scott McCloud, Understanding or Making Comics. There's two actually that he made, Understanding Comics and Making Comics. And both of them are awesome. And Making Comics actually will teach you pretty much everything about everything I'm saying right now. But yeah, that's, you should always be imaginative when you're creating new stories, and you should always just, try to think outside the box. If Goku shoots a beam, that's off the table. Don't have your character shoot a beam anymore. Have somebody do something else that's so ridiculous and random that it'll stick in their mind, aka that person makes a hammer. And there you go. I mean, just it has to be something ridiculous, but also something that you can put all of your energy into to make it as good as you can possibly make it. Does that make sense? Am I just rambling right now?
No, it makes sense. It makes total sense. Okay. Oh, so awesome, Jen. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So that is oh, Jay Odin. That was pitch session. That was our 4 rules, folks. I hope that those all connected with everyone. So all right. So we're gonna get ready to get started. Let us begin with start here. Where are we at here? We're gonna go with our first one. Which comic would you want to go with first? Which of the 2 that were featured in. Like to go with.
I feel like Grimheim was the first one that was featured, so we might as well just talk about that. It's in order. So
okay, all right. So, folks, our first comic we're going to chat about is called Grimheim. It's by Christina Andebach. I believe she is German. I hope I've got that correct. I know we get so many international creators. Christina's actually been a fan of ours for some time. I think she's just absolutely amazing young woman, super talented, seems very sweet. And this is just one of the aspects. One of the things I believe, obviously I'm very liberal. So I started the company to try to support more minorities and people who traditionally have been phased out of the comic industry. And as a result of that, finding more female creators is just great. I'm a big fan of it. And so to have Christina, we had last issue, we had, who was this? We had Jamie DeJong with The Vow, and then we had Caitlin Kelly who did Eidolon, and both of those were two very strong young women. Christina and Grimheim I thought was really strong. So I made a bit of a mistake here, and that's what I was kind of wanting to pull up here. I pulled, unfortunately, I don't think I pulled the correct pitches that we received originally for Grimheim, so I'm going to have to look for that. But why don't we just start off with Jay, you telling people what you thought, tell people just a little shot of what the story is, and then what you thought about it.
So Grimheim is about.
Do you have the issue open?
I have the issue open right now. Do you want me to just read it?
Read the pitch and read the what you call it. Yeah, totally forgot about that.
I was gonna. Okay, so I'm reading the synopsis right now. It's France during the 100 Years' War. GND arc, France's self-proclaimed savior, finds herself in a turmoil between a group of French refugees and English raiders. In order to protect her people, Jeanne, sorry for the mispronunciation, I'm horrible with that. Must overcome.
You've heard of
Jeanne. Jeanne must overcome her insecurities and self-doubts to fight the English. Only with a special dagger made in the land of Grimheim, she sees a chance. Creators quote, "Thank you so much for reading this one-shot. I really hope you enjoy it and maybe even feel inspired to learn more about the real Jeanne d'Arc, the unlikely savior that France needed."
The name is Joan of Arc, but that's okay. What is Joan? You've heard of Joan of Arc? You've heard that?
I have.
You went to America.
Like I said, I did, but yeah.
Folks,
publishers comment.
He's the walking example of Degrassi Junior High in America. Jay went to school, but he didn't care about having school. What was her pitch? What was her pitch?
Oh man. What was her what?
Pitch. The pitch.
It doesn't actually say it right here.
It doesn't have the pitch there, really?
Unless it has it at the end. Hold on, I'm zooming by right now. Hold on. Going up. I didn't see the pitch. I only saw the synopsis. Yeah, yep, that's it.
All right, well, never mind. Keep rolling.
So anyway, I like the story. It was really cool. I did have a lot to say about a few things. Mainly, okay. So let me back up and let me just say, I enjoyed a lot of the artwork. All of the artwork is beautiful. Every single frame is amazing. But with that said, every single frame is so amazing that it cancels out all this, like a lot of the storytelling. Not everything, but like it cancels out. It makes it more difficult. I'll say that. And because of that, it breaks me, the reader, out of the comic. So that's kind of an issue. Like that's something that I definitely would tell you to work on. Like, you obviously know how to draw. This is like, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm not sure exactly how long it took you to draw this, but like it shows that you definitely put work into it. Like all the tones look great, the highlights, the facial expressions, everything. But you definitely added so much detail that it cancels out some other, like, it kind of like, I don't know, it makes everything look the same, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like if there's one blotch of black ink on a piece of paper, then you instantly see that black piece of like ink. But I mean, if everything on that piece of paper is black ink, then everything on that piece of paper is black, and you don't see that black ink. Does that make more sense? Like that's basically what I'm trying to say. So if I look at everything, it looks great, and the story is like amazing.
Okay, so so you're doing a couple things here. I want to step back for a second.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm just going on.
Okay. No, that's okay. Let's just start first and foremost with the story. Did you enjoy the story?
Well, I really liked the story. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really cool how the main character was just going through a lot of turmoil, and it definitely showed that she was kind of like having an internal struggle and a battle with herself, and like kind of like just trying to believe in herself and saying, hey, can I actually do this? I thought that was really cool. I really liked how that one dude was just a complete and total asshole in the beginning. And then he was like, "You're not gonna be my savior." Like, I hate you, tiny girl. Like he obviously was just like angry for no reason. But I like the fact that he it drove the story along. So like I said, I really like the fact that all that happens. I really liked how when the English came, all the action really picked up, and the fight scene was just like epic. Like I really like that that last slash. Like it was so fast, so you could totally see the energy and feel it. But yet again, I'm going off the rail. I really like the story. That's the gist of what I'm saying.
Yeah. So okay. So let's stay with the story. We'll get to some of the other aspects of it. Let's stay with the story for a second. So I thought the story was fantastic. I mean, I really enjoyed the story. I think that
I really did.
First of all, let's understand a few things. Joan of Arc is a real figure. Okay, so for all of you people who are listening to this and watching this, this is a real figure. So this automatically is interesting to me as a publisher. The reason this made it into an issue of Saturday A.M. is because this was an interesting idea and concept. It was an interesting idea and concept that, all in all, actually was related to the idea of historical fiction. Now, we know that manga is full of historical fiction, whether it's Kingdom, which is a title that is running in Weekly Young Jump, very, very popular. I think it's like 50 volumes or whatever. Super popular series. Really cool artwork. But they, it's a historical setting with historical figures that then gets kind of shifted and becomes more of a kind of action piece at times. So it's fantasy, but it's historical in nature. Vinland Saga, one of my all-time favorite mangas. Again, this is historical fiction. This is a fictional character. He's based on some real characters, but it's a fictional character in Thorfinn, and what happens in his life, what happens in that time period. These are all real events. The actual specific elements of the events, how they happen, of course, when it gets manga-like with some of the fight scenes and so forth, that's totally fantasy. But again, a lot of the world and the things that are constructed with it are real. So right off the bat, that's what kind of excited me, was that we're looking at something that is, absolutely, positively historical fantasy. Joan of Arc is a real figure. And so when someone's pitching me a series and you're saying, okay, I'm going to work off this real figure, you've already got, as a publisher, you've got my interest. When the story ultimately, we started seeing what the story was, then yeah, I continue to be quite impressed. This is a series that involves some kind of magical elements to it. This had, as Jay said, there's an eternal struggle going on with Joan of Arc. This is a historic character and figure, but yet she's struggling with the idea of, is she actually the person who can lead these people? And the part that Jay talked about, where the person was kind of like, you're not going to be my savior. Folks, we're Saturday A.M. We care about diversity. Some of the aspects of storytelling, when you care about diversity, means that you actually touch on what it feels like to be someone who is different. You're not going to see people attacking people, especially not in a more realistic way, for being a woman, being disabled, being a person of color, being gay. In most manga and so forth, it's going to end up being kind of sugar-coated or made comedic or this, that, and the other. This is what this character was going through. I mean, this is what makes her such a unique historic figure. So I love the fact that in the handful of pages that Christina had, she still was able to weave in a very simple scene, some of the struggles that came with this character's gender. Not only is she troubled, but she's troubled because of the external pressure she's facing, not just the internal pressures. And I thought, bravo for being able to put that in there, not letting that just go away and think, well, it's not important because there's gonna be a bunch of boys who read this and they won't care about that. She put that in because that is what the character would be struggling with, and it makes the story more fascinating as it. You know,
I agree totally, 100%.
right. So I think, you know, so look, to me, I thought the
nice story
story
touch.
Yeah, I thought the story was fantastic. You know, is it perfect? Of course not. Other people are all amateurs. None of these stories are perfect. But I found a lot of the elements here to be really strong, and I felt that the story moved in a decent way. It wasn't, again, perfect, but it moved, I thought, in a pretty outstanding way. Now, that being said, we do have to get to the art, and so here is how I feel about the art. Yes, the artwork has problems. Absolutely, the artwork has problems. There's no question the artwork has problems. There are parts of it that work. There are parts of it that don't work. When it works, we're talking about art that feels like, you know, a lot of things are happening, where you've got things being integrated in a way that reminds me of. Well, in fact, let me show you. Let me ask you if you. So you all have seen by now, after watching the video, you've seen a couple of pages. We don't put the whole story up here, folks. You've seen some of the pages from Christina Andebach. I want you to tell me, does Christina's work look kind of like this? This is the artist that a lot of people think, oh, he's not that good. His stuff's kind of rushed. It's kind of sometimes jumbled. There's a lot of stuff together. But when I look at Christina's work, when Christina's work is on, I feel like it's at this level. More Attack on Titan. You know, different camera angles. Again, there's a stiffness to the characters. You know, some of the characters, sometimes the anatomy just looks bizarre, right? Some of these characters' anatomy just looks off. This artist, though, you know, hey, he's got one of the hottest selling series, you know, in Japanese history. And then, of course, we have a panel like this. Again, you know, why these characters in the background kind of look the way they look, I don't understand. But there are elements here, again, that we're seeing with Christina's work where, like I said, you know, I see some of the details she's got. And when Christina's stuff is on point, it is amazing. When her stuff is not on point, it looks rather amateurish. I just want to point to 2 pages of Christina's that I thought were just exceptional, and then show you 2 that I thought were pretty poor. So look, this right here is, I think, probably a masterpiece page. To me, this is like a masterpiece page. I mean, you know, you look here and you see the flags hanging off in the distance, and you see the, you know, basically breaking up the page layout a little bit. Joan of Arc on the horse. The scroll that represents the captions, as opposed to just being standard like boxes or scrolls. I mean, when you see this page and you're talking about this work, if you've never seen this work, you're like, oh wait, what manga is this from? Because this is pretty good. This is pretty dope. Did you like this page, Jay?
Yeah, I thought it was definitely striking. It made me want to read more of the comic. You know, I mean, you want me to just talk about the art now? Like, I mean,
I just asked a quick question there, but I mean, so
no, I liked it a lot. I thought it was really cool.
All right, so now here's another page.
I like how she laid it out.
This one I kind of liked. It has some issues. I hate the white space in the bottom right corner that's just wasted. Like, that's horrible. I hate that. That's not the way you. That's not an effective layout. The beast that's behind Joan of Arc isn't. You know, it's like, to be honest with you, I still can't tell what that thing is. It's not drawn particularly well. It doesn't have. It's just kind of a bundle of lines and so forth. Now, again, this is where, you know, Christina's talent maybe hits a wall a little bit, because because the setup, the framing of that panel is excellent. In the foreground, she's got this creature behind her. I mean, in the background, and then in the foreground, you know, a camera behind this person's back. We see the person who's about to face her, and we see what he sees, and it's just a great image. But then you get to the final 2 panels, and it just kills this page, because not only are they really squished together, like really squished together, the font is ridiculous. This kind of, you know, and again, it's kind of Japanese-like, so I guess it kind of works on that front. But the font with no bubble around it and so forth, just plastered on the actual things. It's just too much stuff here. There's too much stuff. And then it's squished. It doesn't have to be squished. Again, there's white space in the bottom corner there that just doesn't have to be lost. You know, you could pull it out. So again, there's stuff here that I absolutely love, and then there's stuff that I look at and it's like, oh, she's just not quite there yet. And Jay, I have to say, when you said this one part about the fight scene was great, I thought to myself, what is Jay Oden smoking? Because I did not care for this fight scene at all. Because it looks stiff. There's not a lot of action to it. It's hard to tell what's going on. Please tell me what that last group of panels at the bottom is. Tell me what those last group of panels are. So that
last group of panels, I'm not talking about. The thing that I'm actually talking about is the panel. That's the best answer I've ever heard. Okay. Like the panel you're all set up to say something. You're like, yeah, look, okay, I'll answer your question. Okay, the last group of panels I'm not talking about. I'm exempt. I want to say I don't even know. Honestly, I agree with you. I have no idea what those last panels are. It looks like the passing of time, which means that they were just staring at each other for hours. Like, I mean, like I don't think that's what was going on. So I have no idea what's talking about that. I was bringing up the fact with that last slash when she cut that Englishman's hand, that the way I can feel the energy and how fast that was. Like,
sure. I agree with that.
That's what I'm talking about. I think that looks great. And I mean, you know, if she...
But the panel above it where she's running towards him, those 3 panels in the top of the page. Yeah,
that should have been spread out a little bit more. Right, exactly. You know, clarity, man. It's all about clarity.
So folks, those of you who are watching this who are like, oh, okay, this is really good from notes. Follow me here. The first panel with the also he is with me, and you've got this medallion piece, is useless. It's useless. You could have made that a thought bubble with her racing towards him, which means that Christina would have had more space to depict that race of her towards the enemy so that we get better imagery, maybe a better camera angle, and it would have felt more kinetic. Likewise, the 2 panels on the right side of that, it's just like, what is this? There's too much stuff there. And so there's, you know, it just doesn't, like, it's, again, I'm with you on one panel, and let's just look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now that little packet between 9 and 12 is like a block of panels. We don't know what that is. 13, 14. So out of 14 panels, I can point to 2 that I like, and that's about it. Is that right?
Probably.
So here's my thing with Christina. I think at her best, she could be Attack on Titan, which is not a bad thing because he's selling millions. He's more paid than you and I possibly will ever be. I hope that's not true, but you know, I hope you and I do make money.
It's not.
Yeah,
we will.
I know.
It will happen.
Well, this is why I talked to Jay, because Jay, he is the little angel sits on my shoulder saying, "I believe in you, Frederick," and then he laughs.
It's okay. I'm not worried about my future. As long as the world doesn't explode, I think I'll be great. I'm just gonna draw as hard as I can and hope for the best. So
well, that is well said. As long as the world doesn't explode while we're still alive, it's good. No, so here's my thoughts on Grimm Hunt. I love the concept. I love the setup. I love the story. I love the character design. We didn't talk about the character design. I thought the character design was really good. I love all these pieces that she's got. When her artwork is on, Christina is, you know, she's looking at real, like, you know, she's looking at real comparative stuff. When her artwork is a bit off, we're seeing the kind of standard amateur stuff, packing panels with too much information, not looking at pages and thinking to yourself, okay, let me lay this out so it can be the most cinematic, most understood experience for my readers. I want my readers to understand what they're seeing because that will enhance their enjoyment. Not, okay, in my head, this is what I want to do, so I'm just going to try to do it. I'm going to try to squeeze it in because I've only got 15 pages. Folks, when you are, I have a very simple rule for all of my creatives. Jay knows this. All my creatives know this. Create your comic to the vehicle. That means if the magazine comes out and you've got 7, 10, 15 pages, then you create your comic to the vehicle. You don't create your comic book based on, oh, well, I only got 15 pages. You create your comic book to the vehicle. If you're creating to the vehicle, that means you understand that the readers are coming in for a certain type of experience. and you got 15 pages to give them that experience, then you've got to tell a story that's going to give them an experience. If you're just trying to tell a story that you're squeezing into 15 pages because you're more concerned about the pages as opposed to the vehicle, then you're missing it. You're missing it. Create comics to the vehicle. Just like the pitch, you got 4 to 6 words. If you feel like you need 9, 10, or 11, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. It doesn't matter that you get everything in. What matters is that what you did get in makes sense. If someone doesn't like it, that's life. But you need to create to the vehicle. You need to work within a paradigm. And in this particular case, I think it's a bit off here, but I do love Grimm. I think Christina's super talented. I hope that we'll see more stuff from her. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I just want to make it clear that I liked this story. Like, I'm not trying to, bash her or anything in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I mean, I really like the story, the character design, and the art in general. As a fan of somebody that likes cluttered work, I love One Piece. I mean, that's the most cluttered you can get in the shonen industry. Like, I love One
Piece. So that there you go.
I mean, but you understand, like, I mean, it's super cluttered. I mean, Grimm Haim is more cluttered than One Piece, to the point where I can't understand some things. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if every panel was its own piece. If every panel was its own piece, everything would be great. It would be beautiful and everything would be phenomenal. But I mean, because it's so detailed and it's like you're always going 100% in every panel, because of that, like, some things get kind of washed away and like the clarity isn't as clear as it needs to be. And that's the key point for comic books. Like, when you have oh, wow, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm reading the comments. I'm sorry.
Take to the thing, Jay.
You have to be clear when you tell a comic book. I mean, I mentioned those books earlier, making comics with Scott McCloud, but he talks about this in one of the chapters. Comic books is a different language. It's not just reading and it's not just pictures. It's both combined. You have to be able to use both of them in a way that makes it so seamless that you're not even thinking about actually reading. It's like you're watching a cartoon. Like, it has to be so fluent that you're not even thinking about it. And if you bring the reader out of that general space of when they're reading the comic, then you unfortunately have failed. With that said, though, Grimm Haim is definitely has a lot of potential. I mean, I think the artist has a lot of potential. She's definitely going places. I mean, I'm not sure exactly, like I said, how old she is, or when she created this, or how long it took.
I think she's young. I mean, she did it for Summer of Manga, so she created it within the last few weeks.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, that's amazing. You definitely have a lot of potential. Keep on going.
That's exactly right. That's the point. That's the point. I want to make sure everyone understands is that we're being critical because that's what people don't do, and that's why people are watching this show. We had a 2.5-hour show last episode, and damn near 1,000 people watched it within a week. So that's great. That's fantastic. But the point of the matter is that we're trying to be very specific and really dig into stuff about the show to help people know how to tell good stories. Grimm Haim's great, and like I said, don't be surprised if you see Christina Underlight working with us in the future, because I think she's got real talent. But these are some areas that she certainly will have to work on. Let's move to DID, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So now, do you have his comic section up so that you can access his comments and the pitch and all those various stuff?
Yeah, it's the synopsis and creator quote and all that. I have that right here.
Okay.
You want me to just read it?
Yes, sir. Folks, this is DID by Jeff Duvall, a.k.a. Frey. You guys have seen this stuff before. Creative Inlock. He's a friend of Saturday A.M. Take it away, Mr. J.
The synopsis is Nathan Walters has been suffering from dissociative identity disorder and goes to visit an alternative medicine doctor to help with his condition. The doctor sends him deep within his own mind to confront and defeat the other personality. Can Nathan destroy the other person within, or will it consume him? I really like this story. This entire story was great. When I was reading this, I don't know. I mean, I looked at this like an episode of Law and Order, mixed with, I don't know, some type of random Japanese cartoon. But I mean, I liked this a lot. Like it was really, really cool. I liked it a lot.
That's one hell of a comparison. Law and Order with some random Japanese. Yeah. So what I'm curious because you always give me such amazing insight. What random Japanese cartoon were you thinking this was like?
Honestly, it's not coming to mind. Like, I mean, there's
because I feel like you're gonna say Doraemon or Hello Kitty.
Doraemon, I can see that it could be inspired by Doraemon, mainly because of the tones that he used. Because I've seen those tones in Doraemon, but I wouldn't say that. I was thinking like a simpler version, even though this isn't a Japanese cartoon, and it's really racist of me to even say this. I'm so sorry to say that, but the Jackie Chan Adventures, I love that cartoon when I was growing up, and like the way that style is, it's kind of reminded me of that, and like, I mean, I don't know, but also like a mixture of some other stuff that's just like buried in my head that I can't bring up right now. Like, I mean, I liked it a lot. I really thought that it was a good story, and I'm reading the comments right now, and yes, NO Tricks, it did.
Don't read the story. Don't read the comments. Speak. Don't read all the comments right now. Just stick to the
fine.
So
I did not think anything was wrong with the story. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I think so. If you guys don't know Jeff is he has a story he does called Inlock, and he's submitted something to us before, which is a really cool concept. I actually like a great deal. It's about a kind of like the what's the purgatory? It's like purgatory and like or limbo, and kind of like the between two worlds, between heaven and hell. And I thoroughly enjoyed the that concept. I thought it was such a really cool concept. This is no different. I think this is kind of it does have like a strange feel to it. The character, we're with this character a lot, so we're really getting a lot of experiences from this character in particular. And there's a psychosis here. It does feel very suffocating because of the way that the story kind of plays out. Even the way it begins, like you're on edge because you don't quite know what to expect. So, this is for me. This was, I agree with Jay. This is a really, really powerful story. It's not perfect. I mean, there's some elements here that could have flowed, I think, a little bit better. I don't know if that was page count or what, but I did very much enjoy this. So without question, I think the aspect with Jeff's comics, certainly, especially with Saturday A.M. Fans, always ends up coming back into the notion of the art. Because the art style is very unique. Jeff is a very specific has a very specific art style. I want to talk about that because I know it's going to come up because it came up last episode. But before we get going on that, let me go with you and get your thoughts on the artwork, things you liked, things you didn't like. Go ahead.
I really liked his artwork. I mean, it had a different style, and it stood out to everything else that like I had been looking at, but. How do I say this? I like the fact that it was simple enough for me not to have to worry about what was going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of like weird to like, I guess, compare this to Grimm because Grimm was, before this. Sure. But I mean, that's obviously going to be in my head after, reading that, like, I'm going to read this. So I liked this a little bit more because I could understand every single panel. Granted, there is a significant amount of detail that is like less to the Grimm, but that's the point. Like, I mean, I knew that they were inside of this small office room. I knew that he was folding his feet and his legs Indian style. Like, I knew that they were doing all this stuff, and even though everything was, like I said, super simplistic, I mean, it was clear and concise. I knew exactly what was going on. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. So
I'm sorry. I just want to talk about this one other thing. When they're like sitting down, and he's like, "I want you to now sit in Indian style," and he says, "Close your eyes." I love that 4-panel sequence when he's just like breathing in. That right there was like such a slow moment.
I know I'm pulling it up right now for people. I showed it earlier, but I'm pulling it up for people right now because I know exactly what you're talking about, and it was very cool.
And I love like slow moments like that. That's another really cool storytelling, thing. Sometimes you just need to slow down and like let people say, hey, these people are actually people that you're looking through.
Agreed.
This is a universe that you're looking at.
I totally agree. I think so. Here's my thoughts when it comes to Jeff's art. I think that so I'm a fan of Jeff's art, but here's the thing though. I'm 44 years old. I'm older than most of I'm older than all of our readers probably. Certainly the majority of them, and most of our creators. What that always informs me is the successes we have at Saturday A.M. is comes a lot because I pull from the various eras of comic book creation that I remember, whether it's manga when I was reading very, very early manga back in the early 80s when Shonen Jump that had not have anything to look like Dragon Ball or Naruto or One Piece or any of those things, back when it had stuff like Fist of the North Star and Space Cobra, stuff like that. That's when I first got into Shonen Jump, folks. And then, of course, I was a fan of Marvel comic books as a kid and DC Comics. I remember Legion of Superheroes and Ghost Rider and Werewolf by Night and stuff. So I'm pulling on kind of a history of comics that a lot of younger people are not. And so for me, the joy I feel about comics and seeing creators like Jeff and some of our own creators, by the way, some of our own artists like Frederick Ward, who does Comic Man. We're going to talk about one of our artists in a minute. But, when I look at their styles, which is very different styles than what most people think of as manga, when I think of things like, White Manga and Andrea Voros and the artists that we have doing Clock Striker, there's a very real sense of what manga is. Even Jay's stuff is a little different than traditional manga, although you see a lot of Oda with it. But for me, someone who grew up with comics, like I can look at comic book artwork and as Jay said, as long as it is competent and it's doing the job, and it's showing a level of confidence in what it does, like this sequence here when the character is getting ready to go into his kind of breathing, kind of go into this different space. This is where you begin to realize or have an appreciation of really talented artists who can control and command space. They know when to involve space. They know not when to involve space. And again, when you're young, and this is why we already have like 3 down views, because there are a lot of young people who like Saturday A.M. who hate when I refer to them as kids and try to talk to them a certain way. And as I always do in these episodes, I don't give a fuck. That's the whole point. I'm old enough to know how the stuff is done. But this is why I'm a big fan of Jeff's stuff, because I look at his stuff and I see a level of confidence and care being taken to try to craft a story, both with the visuals as well as the story. And so I think it's really great stuff. I want to talk real quickly about, what I see. So growing up, folks, these are sort of artists that, that have always stuck with me, right? This is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Eastman and Laird. This is not, Jim Lee. So if you're a big fan of comic books, you're like, man, this is what good artwork looks like. Well, Teenage Mutant Turtles is not going to tell you that. It's got its own style. But I remember as a kid, and of course now, we look at the success, the mega success of TMNT. Of course, a lot of it's due to the cartoon, but regardless, I just go back to look at this, and even now I can look at this and I just get so giddy when I look at this art, because it
does look amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to read that comic book.
Personality. It's got such personality. So cool. You know what I mean? And so this is the original, Eastman and Laird. Next up is actually a friend of mine named Rafer Roberts. Now he is my age. He's creating comics today, but Rafer's style is very, very specific. And so when Rafer does storytelling, he's got a comic called Nightmare Rat, which is really fun. He does a lot of independent stuff, so this stuff's not superheroes and things like that, although he has done some stuff for Valiant. But I look at Rafer and I love this stuff. I love this stuff. It's kind of got it's just got feel. Every panel has a distinct reason to exist. It operates in its own space, and it just really commands how you interact from panel to panel. And I love that. That's just masterful storytelling. And then last but not least, you have the great Robert Crumb. Now Robert Crumb is ultra detailed. And in fact, he got started. He was doing porn comics. But if you were to look at Robert Crumb, this is the image that I chose. But if we were to show other images from Robert Crumb, you would look at that and go, ugh, his people are so ugly and this and that. But Robert Crumb is a master. He is actually he's like a fine artist in France. I mean, like the Robert Crumb style of art is just beloved in France. So again, you know, these are the artists that I grew up with as a kid, who have such amazing style. Not all of them. Rafer Roberts is my contemporary, but these are artists that have distinct styles. I could spend an hour just showing you artists that I grew up really admiring. But to me, again, when I look at Jeff's stuff, in particular with Jeff's stuff, particularly because I feel like with Jeff's stuff as well, when you see Jeff's concepts, they're so different, they're so kind of quirky and bizarre that I think that's fair to say that the art just adds to that kind of feel. You know, the artwork supports the kind of oddness to it.
It's like a chemical reaction that just sets off.
Agreed. I agree. So yeah, so what do you make of let's go back to the core image here, and let's get some final thoughts on DID. What'd you make of DID?
I loved it. 2 thumbs up. I would love to see more from this person. I mean, you know, they obviously they, you know, definitely still need more work. I mean, you know, I would, you know, as time moves on, you know, they'll get better and better. But the fact that they've been able to do this is phenomenal to me. So like I would just keep on going for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I saw a comment. You know, I did see one comment. It's Rafer Roberts, Frey.
Oh,
Rafer,
yeah, I see that. Okay.
Rafer. But so one thing I will say about Jeff's stuff, I saw a comment because I know that folks, you heard me earlier, have to kind of tap, virtually tap or smack Jay's hand because he was trying to read comments while trying to well, I did read a few comments, and I do want to say that I completely agree. I think it was Frey or Jeff that actually brought this up, but I completely agree about Junji Ito, who is a horror style artist.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I would actually love to see Jay, I'm sorry, not Jay, but Frey actually focus on a story like that. Just a truly horrific
horror story,
you know, horror story, yeah, because I'd be really curious to see that, and you know, we would love to see something
this
like that Saturday
style,
Saturday PM or one of
them. This style definitely,
I mean,
it screams horror story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Exactly. I mean, I think because I think so. Here's my critique. Here's the one negative I would say is that I think for me, when I look at Jeff's stuff is so unique. It kind of has its own flow to it. You love it or you love it or you don't. I mean, that's fair. A lot of people who don't like his stuff, but at the same time, you know, again, I'm older. I like it. Here's what I don't like. What I don't like is that it's like, so when you have a voice and you are a storyteller who has competence, which Frey has. He's done this now several times. He's pitched a couple things at Saturday A.M. When you're at this level, then my thing is, okay, like I've said before, you know, if you're going to fit in the Saturday A.M., you have to have a certain mentality. That mentality has to be shooting for the moon, right? You know, when Jay and I talk, we're not talking about, hey, it'd be really neat if we got to go to this convention next year. We're talking about, man, we can't wait till we do this. We can't wait to do big things, like really big things. And the same thing with White, the same thing with Raymond, the same thing with Andrea, the same thing with Morgan Walker and stuff like that. That's what makes Saturday A.M. You know, is that we're prepared to do the hard work to get to the bigger place. But we're prepared to walk before we run. Obviously, you know, we have other companies, other competitors out there who like they're trying to jump to finish line already. But you know, we're prepared to gradually get there. But we do have, you know, goals, and we work towards those goals. I look at Jeff and I do wonder like what his goal is, because I see a lot of kind of small, independent, esoteric stuff that I don't know what his fan base is. I don't know how big his fan base is. My thing is, come up with a concept that actually could be a movie. Could be an animated movie. Could be, you know, could be something that could really attract people. The concept is dynamite, and then go for it. You know, go for it. Like, don't just keep messing around. Like, here's a little short story, and then here's this other thing I'm working on that's really weird and bizarre. Focus on something, and I do think horror is his kind of meal ticket. I think if you were to do like a really cool horror, or something like that, he could do like, you know what I mean? Because, you know, Uzumaki, which was a great horror comic that came out a while back, and
it would just take
classroom, you know,
it would just take some time, some, just like focus. Honestly, I think you could totally do it, and it would knock it out the park. It would be great. It's just a matter of wanting to do it and saying, "Hey, you know what? It's time to do it."
Well, and again, that's my point. Is I think it's time to do it. Like we've seen Jeff's stuff. We know how talented he is. At this point now, it's like, Jeff, we'd love to work with you, but you got to bring us something that can actually get people excited. And the artwork's not the issue. It's conceptually at a certain point, you can either tell a series of short stories, or you can try to tell a story that actually has, there's a finite story.
Awesome story.
No, not long. I mean, like this could, it could be a 100-page story, but it's like, I mean, a book is like 200 pages, but it could be a 100-page story. It could be a 75-page story. Something that's got like a finite story, but something that's got some wheels to it. It's got like an actual, like it could actually exist as it's a concept that can be told in a way. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like here's a 10-page idea. Here's a 15-page idea, because those are short stories. Like it's like, I want to see something that could fill a book and be really interesting. That's what I would love to ultimately see. So
yeah, no, I agree.
All right. So then before we wrap this other stuff, then let's go back to Grimm. Ultimately, what are you looking for with Grimm? What are you looking for with Grimm? Jay?
What am I looking for? Is that just
yeah, yes. What's next for Grimm? What do you think of Grimm? Was it positive? Was it negative? Do you think you want to see more from her? What do you think?
I would like to see more from her, just not right now. Does that make sense? I think she should definitely kind of like train a little more. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like she definitely has like the art skills. She's amazing. But art skills and comic book skills are different. Like, I mean, I just feel like she needs a little bit more training. I just feel like she needs a little more training and clarity as opposed to just drawing. Because, I mean, she has it. She could totally just draw another comic that would be amazing. But at the same time, you could also have like another reader who looks at this and says, every panel is so detailed that I have to look at it so long that I forget what I'm actually like even reading. And that's not a good idea. Like, so that's the only reason why I say that. I feel like maybe one more comic, like, on the side for her, or, maybe if she wanted to do another Summer of Manga, or maybe if she just took some time and pitched something to us that was absolutely incredible. Like, I mean, I'm sure she has it in her. I'm just saying that, as of right now, after seeing this, I think you need to work on your storytelling skills as opposed to your art skills. So
that's interesting. I find myself torn on that. That's actually really interesting. I when you first started talking, I was like, I was like, what the fuck's she talking about? Like, this girl's talented. She doesn't, she is talented.
She is. Definitely. Definitely.
So I share with you a little bit of what you're saying. A little bit. The part where you got me thinking that I'm with you is where you're like, it'd be great to see her do another short comic, because because here's the thing. I think she's talented. Like, there's no question. I mean, again, her character design work is pretty good. Just this image right here is dynamite. Great.
Yeah,
the
amazing.
Color's good. I mean, the detail, of course, said their panels. I mean, the detail here is good. I mean, those stakes.
Yeah, this cover was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh snap, yes, it's going down.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
When I saw this cover, like, I actually was excited. Like, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not dogging her art skills. Like, I mean, her art skills are on point. I mean,
but see, that's where you and I break a little bit, because I think you are. I'm looking at stuff saying, no, she's talented. Her stuff, it works all the way through. Now, but what you can make an argument about, and this is where I agree with you about a short story, because again, I don't think, like, what does she have to wait for? The only issue that existed here was an issue of pacing, a little bit of pacing, and the second one of not really understanding layout. If because her ideas for layouts were right, but some of her execution wasn't. Some of her panel work.
So I guess what you're saying is
there are panels that are dynamite, and there are other panels that aren't. Right.
If what you're saying is she could tell a story that, like, could be longer, she would be able to stretch her muscles out a little bit.
No, I'm not saying at all. I'm saying that.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, you've given her a page count of 15 pages, so she had to limit herself when she was doing panels and layouts and stuff.
No, let me stop you right there. Because no, absolutely not. No. Look, look, if you can't tell a story in a page limit, then you got a problem. Then you've already got a problem. That's. I
mean, she was able to tell this story. She was able to tell this story. So, I mean, yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah. So no. So let's stop right there. No, because if you folks, just to be clear, if you enter Summer of Manga and we give you a page count, then you're expected to deliver on that page count. If you can't, then that's when you start to recognize, you know what, I got a problem as an artist. I have a problem as an artist, because you should be able to tell a story in that page count. Period. You don't need 10 more pages. You don't need 3 more pages. If you can't tell a comprehensive story at the beginning, a middle, and an end, introducing character, introducing circumstances and ideas, if you can't do that in whatever page count we give you, then you seriously need to check whether or not you're a storyteller. Period. There's no way you go from never having created a comic book to then creating Naruto, and you've never once told a short story in 5, 10, 15, if you're lucky, 30, if you're really lucky, 60 pages. That's just not how the world works. Creativity means that you understand pacing and layouts and all these various pieces, period. So that's not the issue here with her. The issue here with her, as far as I'm concerned with Christina, is that, again, there are pages that are dynamite. There are pages that she did, like the first page where the flags are hanging off the side of the pages of the thing and so forth. Let's see if I can pull it up here while I'm talking. I still think this is one of the best pages I've seen in any of the Summer of Mangas to date. So Christina has the talent. This cover was one of the best covers. The character design is fantastic. The concept was told reasonably well. So no, she's not. This is not like you got to go back to school and do all this stuff. No. What needs to happen?
I'm not saying she needs to go back to school.
So then what needs to happen with Christina is that she needs I think another short story, another 10, 15, or whatever page story for her to have a chance to work on some stuff and understand pacing, understand page layout, understand what to pack into a panel and what not to. Those are things that only come from experience. And to be frank, that's what threw me when you were talking. Because I'm thinking, no, what this girl needs to do is make a webcomic. She needs to make a webcomic. She might need to, if she were to start telling an original story, just to start telling a story, eventually those bugs get worked out. And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point, is that when you've got talent like this, when you can make a page for the first time that looks this good, and yes, there are parts here that aren't great, but folks, this is still better than 99% of the stuff we see. So when you've got talent that is that good already, then the only real issue you've got to focus on is understanding panel to panel how to get the most out of what you've got to tell. And if that means that you don't need as many panels on a page, or you don't need as much stuff in the panel, or you can rearrange the panel to give yourself more ability to make something more cinematic, then that's what comes from experience. And that's only going to come from doing pages, because the more you do pages, the more you understand the relationship between deadline, storytelling, and fan interest. And so again, another short story for Christina where she can kind of look at some of these things, try again, and work some tweaks out, tweak some areas. I think Christina can, like I said, well, again, worst case scenario for this girl, because she's talented and she's gonna make it. Worst case scenario for her is that she's an artist at the level of the guy who makes Attack on Titan. A freaking multimillionaire. So come with a great concept, Christina, and get your artwork enough to where it looks like that, and you're can be a multimillionaire. She's not like no one's expecting her to draw like Andrea.
I think she
Bora.
could get there really soon. I think she could get there really soon. I mean, she's awesome. I mean, for sure. And it's just a matter of, like you said. I mean, it's just a matter of like making those pages. So, like you said, just keep on going.
That's right. Okay, so folks, we're gonna do something real quickly. It's called Quick Shots. This is a part of the show where we basically take some pitches that we've received, and we go in and give our thoughts immediately on them. Jay, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, now we're gonna do this. We're fast, folks. We're going through this fast because we're gonna be wrapping up here by 9:30. It's 9:07 right now, so hold your horses. This first pitch is called Seven Sinners. Now, folks, this is not the best pitch. Obviously, you see this. We got on screen for you to look at. I'm gonna read it. Jay, get ready. I want you, because you've got the link where you can check out this person's artwork, right?
Yeah.
All right, you see it?
Yeah, they're the Joe guys, right? El Mangaka Joe.
Say what?
Seven Sinners.
I don't know. Just look at Seven Sinners in the link. Yeah, just check the link.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, here it is. I got it. Okay, you're good.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jay. All right.
I got it. You're good.
All right, folks. Seven Sinners. This is what we were given as the plot pitch. The disappearance of emotions and feelings throughout the world, and with the exception of the 7 deadly sins, people can only act and live according to their sins and their desires, except for the chosen ones that are able to feel. The 7 chosen by the sins carry their will and embodiments to stop apocalypse from happening. Our protagonist, Yukio, bearing the pride sin embodiment called hell is this? Ivris is the last key piece to the story and its unfolding, trying to stop Apocalypse from being freed and destroying all humanity, but at the same time stopping the other sins from causing havoc to the world with their ill intent and their manipulative ways. This is Seven Sinners, folks. Now, that's a lot of stuff packed in. Now, let me say this, folks. Well, this is from, I think, our Wave 2 model, and so the layout of the form was a little different, so the pitches weren't as clear. Even then, we got people who did the right type of pitch, and we got people who didn't. But regardless, this is obviously a more expanded sort of thing. So hearing that, Jay, what are your thoughts?
It sounds really complicated, and I feel like the idea, or like maybe like the how should I say this? The spirit of the idea sounds interesting and fun, but letter of the idea sounds complicated and convoluted. So does that make sense? Like, you got to make it a lot simpler to be able to tell this story. So after reading this, unfortunately, no, I would not pick up this book, because it reminds me of just from you saying seven deadly sins, or seven sinners. It immediately makes me think of, the seven deadly sins,
like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's actually something that my mentor told me, because like I used to draw heavily a lot more like One Piece than I currently do. I don't think I draw like One Piece that much now, but I mean, I'm sure some people might say something. Anyway, my point is that he said stop drawing like this, because every time people see your stuff, they're immediately going to think about One Piece, and then they're going to be like, huh, why am I reading this? I'll just go read One Piece. So I mean, if you're going to tell a story that's exactly the same as something else that you really like, why read that story when they could just go read something that's already done and already better? So with that said, I like the idea of it. It's just I feel like the execution needs to be a lot, I thought out a little bit more.
Yeah, so folks, here's what this comes down to in a nutshell. Let me just get right to the heart of this. So this is the problem when first-time creators are trying to tell stories, is that in their mind, they believe they're telling something really sophisticated, really simple. And when reality, what they should be trying to do is just tell a simple story. Because if you've never done this before, then your objective is just to do it, right? Your objective is not to outdo white manga. It's not to outdo, Kishimoto or Jay Oden or Achiro Oda. Like, that's not what you're here to do. When you've never done this before, all your objective is to just do something simple, see if people like it, cut your teeth drawing something, tell a story that makes sense. If I sat there and gave you the story of Batman, and I used this many words and sentences, you'd think, Jesus Christ, man, that's a whole lot of crap for a guy that dresses up as a bat, as opposed to a guy who dresses up as a bat to avenge his parents. That's the plot of Batman. Bam, you like it? Either you do or you don't. But when you've got all of this hilarious shit in here, exactly. But when you got all this stuff in here, this is where it just starts to weigh. And it's like because again, like I said, it's not hard. Like, and you can see here, folks, I'm showing you a slice of what we get, because I don't want you to know the person's age or who it is and so forth. Now, obviously, they're blabbing up a storm on live chat, so they're letting you know who they are. But I didn't want you to know who they are, because we're wanting you just to evaluate the stuff for its own merits. And so when you see it, like, there's nothing about the name that's particularly interesting. Seven Sinners, Seven Deadly Sins. We get it. But then you start, again, we go through this story here. And the first thing that catches me is the first sentence. The disappearance of emotions and feelings throughout the world, with the exception of the seven deadly sins. People can only act and live according to their sins and desires, except the chosen ones that are able to fulfill. Folks, I'm going to let you know something right now. There is a software, a website called Grammarly. Grammarly. I ask you, I implore you, I beg you to use this software. Why do I want you to use the software? Because when you write sentences that are so convoluted that they make zero to no sense, in your mind, and I know this because I was young, in your mind, you think that instead of saying something simple, that by saying it in a more kind of flowery way, that it'll sound more interesting and more complex. No, it just sounds ridiculous. It just sounds utterly ridiculous. All those words to say basically in a dystopian future where people can't feel. this happens. Instead, you've got all these words in here, and they don't even grammatically make sense, folks. Rule number 3 was what? Submit your best. That's rule number 3. Submit your best. This is what I'm talking about. It would have taken a second to take all of these sentences, plug them into Grammarly, and say, does this even sound right? And it would have come back and said, hell no. I think Grammarly literally tells you hell no. That's not Grammarly. I would say that would be my Grammarly. It would say a word I can't say. But the point is that
probably why I wouldn't sell.
I don't know. I might sell. It'd be the Freddie.
Too mean.
So then you get here. Then you get this. I just want to get this third sentence here because this is another thing we see it so frequently. So keep in mind, folks. I've read you the first sentence. 3 sentences in, we finally get the name of the main character. Now, I already talked about this. I don't think this young person creating this is Japanese. I don't think it. I'm pretty damn sure they're not. And yet here, once again, we have a story with a Japanese protagonist. And I can't help but look at this and think, stop it. Just stop it. Stop it. I don't care what the other manga companies out there tell you, because trust me, secretly they all say this. I'm just the only one with balls enough to tell it to you. But they all say this, folks. Stop it. Stop trying to put stuff in there. I don't care that you went to Japan. Please stop. Please stop. You're not Japanese. If you are black, then make a black character. Good Lord. Why? And there's so few black characters out there, and there's nothing that this story had. All the stuff you've talked about here, 0 of it has to do with Japan. The only reason you put it in here and take that crap out about I went to Japan, the only reason you put this in here is because you're like, oh, well, I mean, it's manga. It has to feature Japanese. That's what you're thinking. Let's stop. Don't lie to me, and don't lie to yourself. That's why you put it in here. And I'm telling you all to be bigger than that, to think grander than that, to be more interesting than that. 3 sentences in, and we get to a character that this person does not know shit about, and then we end up with our protagonist, Yukio, bearing the pride sim embodiment called Rivers, and I come back to this thing again. Why am I hearing about this embodiment called Rivers? That has nothing to do with this plot. That has nothing to do with the script. That has nothing to do with any of this. The story is not called Rivers. You're pitching us on a story. Just tell us the plot of the story. When you start breaking into elements about the main character and about the sword, and they have little, because there's nothing here to explain to us why Yukio matters. I don't know what his bearing the pride sin means. I don't know what his carrying the Rivers thing mean. Like, I don't know what any of that means. In 5 sentences, none of that has been explained. So again, if you're not going to go with a simple pitch, then go with a pitch that explains itself simply. I don't need to know what material Batman's cape is made out of. I don't need to know that Batman drives around in a Batmobile. That should not be in the pitch for Batman. All I need to know is that his parents died when he was a kid, and he dedicated himself to eradicating crime so that no other kid has to go through what he goes through. And to do that, he dresses up as a bat. 3 sentences.
The Batmobile would be icing on the cake. What you're trying to do is create the cake.
That's
yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
What my point is that the story needs to be the cake. And it needs to be the main reason why you're actually there. Like, the icing is just something like, that cake was delicious because of this icing. So, I mean, you're like, oh, wow, Batman's cape is so cool because it can block bullets. But that's not important to him fighting justice. So that way no small kid can go through the same thing that he went through as a small child. So, absolutely. I mean, that's the main point that we're trying to get you. So we're not trying to like shit on you, but I mean, at the same time, this is exactly what companies do.
Stop apologizing for giving.
No. I'm not trying to apologize. I mean, I'm just letting you know that, like, if you think this. No, wait, let me just say what I have to say. If you think that this is shitting on you, like, I mean, just to let you know, this is what the comic book industry is. So, I mean, we're not trying to shit on you. That's right. We're telling you what we're trying to say. And we're trying to tell you, hey, this is what it takes to, like, get to a point where you can do what you want to do. So.
Let's move on, because I'm not folks. If you're listening to us, then you know what I'm about. so you already know how I talk about these things. You know,
I'm
my
not
objective.
apologizing.
My objective is for you to succeed. I want you to succeed. It doesn't matter if you succeed with Saturday A.M., but I promise you this: if you listen to what I'm telling you and you apply it, it will work for you. Now, again, it doesn't mean you'll end up with us, but it will work for you. But the bottom line is that let's keep it real for a second. Whether we get harsh or not, apply to Marvel and see if they give you anything. They're just gonna tell you no. That's that simple. Last question before we move on. What did you think of the young man's art?
I liked it. I think he can draw pretty well. He draws a lot of fan art. I would love to see more of his original characters. I would also like him to pull out more. There's a lot of busts and just facial expressions. You've mastered the face. Definitely pull out more, show more poses, show more facial expressions. I would also I think I see a few pages of comic book work, but not that many, and it wasn't actually like completed. So I would like to see more of that, especially if you're trying to do more comics. And yeah, there you go.
Oh, I love these comments are great.
That was my speedy.
So that was a speed. It took 5 hours. One of the persons here put they put it's like Goku and Vegeta reviewing pitches. I take it I'm Vegeta. I don't know. All right, let's go to El Valador. I love that name. I don't know what that means, but I love the name. You ready? You got the artwork up?
Yeah, I got it up.
All right. Okay. El Valador. Horror story about a girl who can see evil spirits after giving up her life and must be saved by a defender who lives to hunt these spirits. Very straightforward, pretty simple. It's not the pitch that I like, but very, very straightforward. You either like the idea or you don't. What do you think?
It sounds really cool. I mean, exactly like what you said. It was straightforward. It let me know exactly what it is. I like horror stories in comic book form. And when they're in movie form, I just get scared. So I would like to read this. It would be really cool to read this. Not watch it.
So real quick, let me just say, Redo, you don't need to hop off, Redo. We're going to talk more about the pitches and so forth. So if you're hopping off, Redo. Again, I don't know how old you are, young man, but buck up. This is what life is like, and this is certainly what the comic industry is like. So buck up. We're going to get to this stuff a little bit later. Don't give up, like somebody said, but also don't be like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now. You stay on this chat if you want to make it. Stay on this chat. El Valador. Yeah, I like this. I thought this was, like I said, I thought it was to the point. I love the idea of it. It reminded me. Have you seen that new manga out there? Everybody's talking about called Kimetsu no Yaiba.
That sounds familiar, but
it's a Shonen Jump one. David Yoon loves it. The guy creator of Spoon. Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Yeah. I'll keep it in mind. I'll look it up.
Okay. So anyway, so this is it's a horror story. I mean, so this reads just like that. It's different, but it reads like it. And so I really like that. I love the fact that this is a really straightforward story. A girl sees evil spirits after giving up on her life. Basically, I don't know if she was going to commit. So like I have questions, right? Like this is something where I'm not getting random ideas. I have questions. Like did she gave up on life? Was she sick? Did she try to cause suicide? Like I'm curious. Like this is what you want, folks. You want people to be excited and be questioning, like Jay earlier when I threw him the what was it, the Sailor Moon
Saw.
Yeah, meet Saw, right?
Sailor
Jay was
Moon
like,
Saw.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how the hell that works. It's interesting. So so you see it, you're like, this is interesting. Like that, and that's what this is. This is interesting. I don't know where to go with this. It's so interesting. So I'm instantly curious about this. I'm instantly curious about this. Artwork wise, what do you think?
It's very cartoonish. I like that fact. I feel like it would be a nice contrast if they were doing a horror story with this cartoony artwork. But at the same time, obviously it needs work. I mean, the more they draw, the better they'll get. But I like it.
Yeah, I think so. That was my issue. I totally agree. Like that, the artwork does not represent what I thought this would be. The artwork also is not very sophisticated. It doesn't, hardly any backgrounds.
Yeah.
The characters are very stiff. I mean, if I thought this person were young, I don't know how the person is, but if I imagine what this person's age would, I imagine very young because artwork just seems very amateur.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then you read this pitch, and I'm like, maybe
I know,
15, 14. I don't know.
That's why I don't put this.
I mean, you said that's why you don't put the age. I mean, that makes
why I don't put the age. That's right.
But anyway, that's why I said, I feel like it would be a nice contrast because sometimes seeing something that you think is gonna be super cartoony and then just throws you a left field. You're just like, oh, whoa, whoa. Like sometimes that can drive up more of the horror because you don't know what's gonna happen. So in that regard, I feel like it would be very interesting to see. But at the same time, you're just gonna have to get better at your figures and backgrounds. Definitely. I mean, especially if you want to, do a horror story. I mean, horror stories are all about surroundings. So like it's a lot of other stuff. So yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, and so again, that's the thing, right? It says horror story. I mean, the question is, what kind of horror story is it? And could it be, again, like artwork is subjective, and so I don't. It'd be hard for me to see this fitting the story. I agree with you. And the artist doesn't do much to convince us of it in the artwork that's presented on their Instagram. That being said, I think it's really fascinating. I think it's really interesting, the concept. So I'm torn. I think the concept, and I love the name El Valedor. I just think it's a great name. I've never heard anything like it before. I don't know what it means. Somebody speaks Spanish on our chat can tell us what it means, but I'm intrigued. I'll say that. Artwork wise, not. And then Redo, his artwork, I wanted to say again, yeah, I thought his artwork was great. Like I liked his artwork a great deal, so like that a lot.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, but like you said, it very amateurish in terms of fan art. It was like, hey, this is me doing fan art. This is not me doing much original, but this is fan art. And
yeah, you definitely have to spread your wings.
Absolutely, you're not. No one's hiring you to draw a character they don't own. Okay, so let's get to the next one. The next one we have here. Whoops. Oh, hold on for a second.
Is this the last one? Because it's almost 9:30.
Yep. Hold on. Jay, you're rushing me, Jay. I feel like you're rushing me.
I'm not trying to rush you, man. I know you got a schedule. I'm trying.
I do, but and now I feel threatened. All right.
Do you think?
All right. Next up is this is one of my favorite pitches because of the name. I love the name.
Bamboo's sound. It's pretty awesome.
It's like I want to see someone then do a manga called When Doves Cry. And
yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I love that though. I love it. So Take is a bamboo farmer. He wants his family's happiness overall, although he believes he can achieve it through wealth. One day the bamboos he had just cut regrew very quickly with the sound of his flute. Back home, he realizes that he can make money out of it and make a better life for his family and him. Thus, he spends more time working in the bamboo forest, making money, buying presents for his wife and child, but leaving them alone. One day, his son falls ill and has to buy medicine, but he had spent all he had in presents and the forest was no longer regrowing. The only way to save his son was to give to the doctor the goods he bought with the money he made out of the bamboos. The son recovered, but Take felt so bad for not being able to get rich enough. He thought of everything that had ended since the bamboos didn't regrow. His wife tells him that the only way for them to be happy is for him to be by their side. Weeks later, Take goes to work in the fields with their villagers, and he brings happiness to his home. Now, I do not believe, again, this is in relationship to the young man, again, just now, who I don't know if he disappeared or what, named, I think it was Redo. So we always get aspects of this where you have to question whether or not the person is Western. Way that they frame words and so forth make you question whether or not they are Western. So from that standpoint, this does not. I read this and immediately think this guy or girl, I'm sorry, is not is not a natural English speaker. There's too many things here that are too broken and too odd. The tenses are off and so forth. So Grammarly would help for sure. But hey, if English is not your first language, then maybe it's not going to help you. Period. I don't know. But this is a story where I'm interested in, but I'm also a little frustrated because there are parts of this that don't really make sense. Like there are parts of it that, like the first half of this, I'm like, this is beautiful. The second half of it, I'm like, I have no idea what happened here. So this it's really interesting. What did you make of this?
It sounds really interesting. It's a different type of story. I wouldn't usually pitch a story like this, but that's because I usually don't think like this. I mean, it's interesting because it's so different to me. So because of that, I automatically kind of want to read this. But at the same time, I mean, if their goal was to try to like tell you this story in a shorter amount of words, like how we were doing in the first two pitches, then they completely failed because this is substantially longer than everything. But I mean, I understand. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to explain this. I I think it sounds interesting. I would like to read it. There you go.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I mean, I'm really stoked for this. I'm a big fan of
I mean, yes,
first of all, the
slice of
artwork is
life.
great.
So,
The artwork is great. People on the chat can't see the artwork, but the artwork is really good. Like this is the sort of stuff you look at and you're like, oh, look,
yeah,
this, yeah,
it's phenomenal.
yeah,
It looks great. I mean, his color work, his background. Oh man, yeah.
yeah,
This dude knows what he's doing.
yeah,
Even
exactly.
these pages. Oh yeah, I would love to read this. I would love to read this.
Absolutely,
This comic.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is so I believe this person probably again is not I think this person is not I don't know where Bamboo obviously is in Japan. I don't know if this guy's Japanese. I don't know. He doesn't give much information here to go by, but clearly talented, clearly really talented. I would love to see this. I like I said, I do quite the second half throws me, and that's the only problem. The second half throws me. I can't quite tell what this is. But this is really cool stuff. Okay, so final pitch here is called Windfall. Do you have that pulled up, Jay?
Windfall. Hold on. Yep, I got him.
You got it?
Yep.
All right. Okay, folks. Jay's got it. All right.
I got it.
Windfall. The story of a wandering spirit lost without purpose until one day he encounters a beautiful tree. That's when he knew what his destiny holds for him. I'm not even going to begin to say that doesn't, like, when I read this, I didn't immediately start kind of laughing a little bit, thinking to myself, what's he going to do with that tree?
What? I don't want to laugh at this.
No, but I get it. It's
but it doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense.
This show is called Pitch Session. That's what this is about. This is about helping people understand what you're submitting. And when you read this, you like think to yourself like, what the hell? Like, is he gonna kill the tree? Is he gonna have sex with the tree? What is he gonna do with the tree? Is he gonna hang up?
Okay, time out. Let me back up. First off,
burn the tree down.
I mean, it's a possibility. Who knows? Maybe it's a wandering spirit. I remember reading somewhere that wandering spirits usually like enter or hang around old trees or something for their relatives to come by. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the thing.
It reminds me of that scene in Deadpool 2 when that scene in Deadpool 2. It reminds me of that scene in Deadpool 2 when Deadpool is racing behind Domino and he's following Cable. And Cable's like trying to get something in this truck, and she's like, where is he? He's like, my God, he's on top of you, and he's on top of the truck. He's like, oh my God, he's entered you. She's like, listen to yourself. you're like, I think I've read somewhere where spirits, they enter the tree, become one with the tree, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if that helps what he's got listed here.
But I mean, even if that's the goal,
yeah.
One. Shouldn't that be easy? Just enter the tree and then there you go. Voila, you're done. Or maybe there's like an adventure that you have to go on. In which case, since this is pitch session, now you have to tell them about that pitch. Like, hey, it's, if maybe he encountered a beautiful tree. So now, he knows what destiny holds for him. So first off, explain what destiny is. Like, what is he trying to do with this tree? Right. And then second off, what is stopping him from doing whatever he wants to do with this tree to do with this tree? Like, I mean, that's what you need to do when you create a pitch. Like, who, where, what, and why. Like, those are the answers. Those are the questions that you need to answer.
Okay,
and so if you can do that, then there you go.
Yeah, fair. So folks, okay, obviously this is me putting my serious mode on. Serious mode. Okay, this is the problem with this pitch. Okay, let me just be very blunt with you, because again, I know we're all making fun of the way the pitch is open into this stuff and the suggestion of the tree, but get your head out of the gutter, folks, especially you, Jay. I
didn't say anything at all.
I was projecting, Jay. But folks, this is the literal problem with it, though. The literal problem with pitches like this is that it assumes that the objective in pitching someone who you want to either buy or publish or distribute or support your comic, the strategy that you're taking when you pitch like this is that what you're trying to do is, I'm not going to tell them the plot, I'm just going to tease them. I'm going to tease them because I want them to be teased and therefore fascinated. So take this pitch and assume it was written this way. Assume it was written that the wandering spirit, lost without purpose, encounters a beautiful tree. Will the tree be the answer to his problems, or will the tree cause him more? Find out. Folks, that's not a pitch. Again, you're not speaking to a customer. You're speaking to someone that you want to publish your work, which means do not try to tease them into interest in the story. Don't give me, this isn't an HBO log line that I would read on my dial when I'm flipping through channels. This is the idea that you are trying to say, hey, I've got this awesome story that's got this beautiful ending and this, that, and the other. This is what it is. Well, here's this great concept that no one's ever seen before. Please publish my story. That's what you're trying to do. That's what he's trying to do. That's what anyone should be trying to do. When you're trying to tease the publisher, then that's where it goes off the rails. Okay? Always, always, as I said before, nothing that you do is going to be perfect. So you put that out of your head. Stop worrying about, well, what happens if they don't like it? If they don't like it, then they're like everyone else in the world. There's stuff that they like, there's stuff they don't like. Some people like cookies, some people like, some people like chocolate chip cookies, some people like oatmeal raisin cookies. Some people don't like any cookies. It's just the way it is. You don't have to be all things to everybody. But what you don't do is try to tease them into being interested, because that is fundamentally disrespectful to their time, their intellectual curiosity, and the power and merit of your own storytelling. You're being disingenuous to your own storytelling when you tell someone a story and you don't even give them the full thing. You try to tease them with it. Well, it's about a vigilante. Will he hurt somebody? Won't he hurt somebody? Bet you want to know. Like, that's not how you pitch something. That's completely inappropriate. That's completely not the way to do it. So, Windfall, interesting name, concept, kind of interesting, rife for lots of jokes. The artist, got some talent, I think, right?
Yeah, I agree. The artist, I wish he had more drawings. More stuff, he has a lot of pictures of a lot of other stuff. Yeah, not to say that he's bad. I like his other work. It's just, when talking about comics, I'm not looking for graffiti. So, that's something that I would definitely change if, he was trying to pitch to somewhere and using his Instagram account as a portfolio or something. But I love his character design work. He is a master of the faces. Line work. Facial expressions. He knows what he's doing for sure.
No question.
I would love to see him do an action scene.
Oh well, yeah, agreed. Look, at this level, you don't see artists doing anything. Just it's different because it's fantastic. That's what you want to see. Sure. All right, so folks, that is it for Summer of Manga. Now I'm going to give a couple of detailed, just some information pieces for things to check out with us and so forth, and then we'll finish up with a little quick chat about Summer of Manga and what's happening next with Summer of Manga. I'll answer any questions you have about Summer of Manga for 10 minutes, and then we got to wrap up here about 9:50. So with that being said, real quickly, again, if you're not familiar with who we are Saturday A.M, the world's most diverse Shonen manga anthology. We publish 15 series. We're going to be publishing even more series by the end of the year. New creators are coming in to join us later in the year. So please support us if you care about original manga, original comics, original stories, original creators, new creators. Then check us out. We have titles like Master Multiplayer World of Ghosts, Soul Beat, Clock Striker, Hammer by our guest today, Jay Oden, Apple Black, of course, Crunch Time, Mutton Chop, Spoon, Comet Man, and a host of others. So, folks, if you want to continue to support interesting and original concepts like that. As you can see, folks, when I talk about diversity, I mean it, but not all of our characters are black. I'm African American, not all of our characters are black. So again, don't get it twisted. Diversity to me means just things that are not just the same old. And when you're just basically doing the same old Japanese wannabe stuff, there's nothing more dispiriting than that. When the world is so beautiful, so interesting, and so unique, and this is all we always get, or this is all that's being produced, there's no question that's a bit lame. So this is Saturday AM, and folks, if you want to support us, go to our website, www.saturday-am.com. We produce about 20 issues of digital anthology comics for Saturday AM per year. We've also got a new magazine you may have heard of called Saturday PM, and the first issue of that is out. The second issue has just come out, and we're in the process of getting ready to unveil the third issue of Saturday PM. Saturday PM, this is original seinen material. We feature creators from all over the world. Once again, diverse characters from all over the world. So you've got titles like Quick Draw out of Australia with a creator named Kai Link, Dark Web from a creator up in the UK named Jack Sherwin, The Yellow Stringer, which is a great series by a young creator out of Florida. He participated in last year's Summer of Manga, by the way. So again, Summer of Manga helps us discover new creators. Upcoming soon is Yasuke Black Samurai by Robert Burnins. And of course, White Manga has Bakassi, his first new manga in years, debuted in issue 2. The next story appears in issue number 3, which is coming out soon. So again, if you want to check out Saturday PM, you can subscribe to our premium subscription. That gets you Saturday AM and Saturday PM. And folks, again, that's how you know we're serious, because we continue to produce great comics from lots of great creators. So Saturday PM, every issue features a hot cosplay model. So if you want to see beautiful cosplay models, you can do that there. It's great articles, great pictorials with them. I think the latest one we had here was Lady Nikaru. This woman is really smart, really attractive, and super awesome. So check that out. Folks, you can also buy ads. So if you've not bought an ad with Saturday, if you have your own comic, your own cosplay, your own online store, whatever business that you've got, if you've got those things already happening, folks, you can actually put those in the Saturday AM. Instead of trying to get into Saturday AM by selling us on your story, you can actually buy an ad. If you buy an ad, folks, it's really cool because the ad stays until someone outbids you. So you might be in 5 issues, 2 issues, 9 issues, whatever. So it's really worth the price of it. We love some of the amazing creators who are supporting us and giving us really awesome ads, and we do the same for them. So not only do we run the ads, we talk about it on social media. We talk about it. Some of our big creators like White Manga might give it a plug. So if you want to get people exposed to your work and you're not a part of Saturday AM, advertise. If you're not willing to spend money on your own comic, then you got to question how serious you are with your comics. Subscribe to Saturday AM, and if you want to be in Saturday AM the old-fashioned way, then buy an ad, folks. It keeps us going, and it gives you guys really great opportunities to be seen by our fan base. Our latest issue is out right now. It's Saturday AM issue number 90. You can get it right now. It's on the website, www.saturday-am.com. It features Jin Chan's amazing series, Zero King of Thieves. Really, really cool stuff. If you love kind of pure, fun, action-oriented manga, you can check it out right now. So that issue is out right now. Issue 91 will not come out until around the middle, I think the first full week of August, because we're on break. If you don't know, every 5 issues we take a break. So we made it through issue 90, and the next issue will be issue 91, and we'll run through 91 through 95, and then we'll take another month-long break, and then we'll finish up the year with our 100th issue. It will be the last issue that we do for the year. We've got some titles joining us again here with Saturday AM. If you love Saturday AM, then our road to 100 begins with issue 91 in August. Massively Multiplayer World of Ghosts is returning. This is our series featuring an Indian lead character named Nilai Rao. This kick-ass thing is going to be hitting here really good, really soon. And you have a chance to check out this really awesome thing here. So check this out. Really looking forward to Massive Multiplayer returning. Oscar Fong, one of our really star artists. I think he's going to become a superstar off of this. He's going to be creating the artwork for it. And then likewise, our most popular series outside of Apple Black, which is called Clock Striker, that returns also in August. So you can look forward to seeing more Clock Striker, Shonen Manga's first Black female lead character. So with all that being said, folks, let's see if we can answer some of these questions related to Summer of Manga. I know that you guys want to enter Summer of Manga. So as I said, I'll say again, Summer of Manga is now open to Saturday PM. So Saturday AM and Saturday PM, both of those will debut to non-subscribers this coming Monday. You can go onto our website and get information about it. It's going to be at www.saturday-am.com/summer-manga-18. Okay, and if you can't remember that, that's okay. Just go to the website, go to the top of the page. You'll see links, and one of the links is Summer of Manga. Click it, and it'll take you to the page. That page on Monday evening will be updated, and we'll have the rules for all non-subscribers to be able to enter Summer of Manga. Now, with that being said, what questions do we have here for Summer of Manga? We got a couple of minutes. I'm happy to answer some stuff here. Let's see here. Let me scroll back up here and see what we got. Folks, if you don't mind reposting the questions, because again, I can't go all the way up here. I see someone said, where's it at? I just saw it. Someone said, oh, someone named Modi says, is there a way to pitch a series, or does it have to be a short story? Yes, it has to be a short story. I think, again, the point of Summer of Manga is that at the end of the day, I mean, we see so many creators who want to create a long story and have never created even a short story. And so it's just a waste of time, to be frank. I mean, again, this is just me talking real, folks. I know some people can't deal with that, but this is just the reality, is that this is what it's like when you're a publisher in the web space, is that you have a lot of people who, because of the internet, they think that they've got the sort of power. They think they've got the sort of skill set and experience, and you don't. If you've not done this before, then you don't. It doesn't mean that we don't want to work with you. We do, but we're not going to waste our time trying to teach people how to create comics. And the thing about it, the reason that Saturday A.M. has such a culture is that we're a bi-weekly magazine. We have objectives about the sort of way we want our stories told, the way we want our fans to get excited. And so because of that, the key thing that has to happen here is that creators have to be able to figure out how to tell good stories. And if you are concerned about a long series, that means you're missing a fundamental aspect of this, which is that, number one, do you know how to tell a long story? Do you know how to tell a short story? Number two, what happens if people don't care for your story that you've got? Right? Go to Marvel and say, I want to work on X-Men for 15 years and see what happens. If your first issue comes out and it sucks, you ain't going to be on X-Men past 2 issues, much less 3 or 4. So this is the problem. And so what we try to encourage people to do is just focus on telling a story. Yes, a short story is all you should be focused on trying to do. If you're trying to tell a long story, again, that's not my job to tell you what you can and can't do in life, because obviously, this is what makes life exciting. This is just my advice. If you want to say, hey, screw you, Fred, I'm going to create a long story, go to Tapastic, go to Smack Jeeves, go to those companies, and upload to your heart's delight and tell a long story for the next, 9 years. And that's great. And it may very well work for you, but what we see is that we're trying to go a different route. And so we're looking for people who can tell good short stories. Let's see. Next up is, will we consider a winter of manga? No, it takes everything we've got to do Summer of Manga. Trust me. Does the Saturday A.M. app happen already? No, but we do have a really cool thing we're working on. Jay, are we working on a cool thing with an app right now?
There's a lot of cool things we're working on. Trust me, it's all going to be badass.
Yes, yes. I was like, shit, I hope Jay doesn't go too far, but yes, that's well said, Jay. What should an artist whose pitches you review do now? Pitches that were reviewed on the show, and this is one of the reasons why we don't put their names, because again, we don't, just like we saw tonight, unfortunately with Redo, is that we're not here to try to embarrass anybody. So that's why we don't put their names. If we publish you, then obviously you're in the magazine. So if the response is good, and if we enjoyed the effort that you put into creating a short story, then we'll be in touch. And some of those creators we've already been in touch with. If you've not gotten into an issue, then there'll be some other things that will be happening that we'll talk about at a later date that will give you a chance to expose readers to your content. Because again, the magazines are packed, right? Summer of Manga is a part of the magazine. It's not the magazine. So, we still have, new episodes of Apple Black and Saigami and Clock Striker to get in, Hammer to get in, as opposed to lots of Summer of Manga. So we average right now about 2 stories per issue. This is only going to go from issue 91 through 93. So it means there's a very limited space left. Then we have Saturday PM, which is another, which is just 1 issue. We'll have Summer of Manga. So it is very tight. We had hundreds of people who applied for this. At this point, only like 6 have made it through. So What I would say is that right now is that we're going to have a process for people. Wave 3 is wide open. So the point is that if you applied and you've not been contacted about being an issue, then you need to resupply for Wave 3. Take all the stuff that we've given you in terms of pitch session and all those other things and try to focus on making that work for you. Figure out things that you can do to revise your pitch, make your pitch stronger. If you've been in Wave 2, Wave 3, or you're new for Wave 3, or you were in Wave 1 and you never made it through to get into the issue or be contacted about working on something for us, if that hasn't happened to you, then take everything that you've learned from these 2 episodes of pitch sessions, reapply. Let's see here. The ones you accepted into group from Wave 2 must submit again for Wave 3. Yes. An app would be cool. Yes, it would. After completing the form, do you look at our Instagram or are you looking for art sent to you? No, you're not sending anything to us. You could have a virus in that damn thing. That's why you need to have an online portfolio, folks. This is why you have to have an online portfolio. Please have an online portfolio. And yes, we will check out your Instagram, your Tumblr, your DeviantArt, whatever is hot today, we'll check it out. Is Summer of Manga the only way to pitch a Saturday A.M? It's not the only way, Modi, but Modi, if you are a new creator and you are not a successful creator, then here's the harsh reality. We are too busy, and we have creators of real stature like Jay Oden who do come to us from other companies. Yes, they have a fairly easy way through if we all sync together. And Jay's a very personable person. He's a very fun person. He fits our culture. He was able to slide right on in. That's not true of every creator. So if you're asking to try to get into Saturday A.M. and you know that you're not a popular creator that has work that's been seen by lots of people, or that you even produce lots of content, then Summer of Manga is your only method. Trying to find some other way to get into Saturday A.M. and you haven't even done a comic yourself before ever is the absolute wrong way to look at it. We're not a club. And let me say this as well. If you don't subscribe to Saturday A.M., then this question is ridiculous. If you have discovered Saturday A.M. and are saying, okay, look, the Summer Manga thing, okay, look, but is there another way to get to Saturday A.M.? This is disrespectful to everybody associated with Saturday A.M. because we're not a club. If you don't know who we are and you don't know what we publish, but you think this is something to be cool to get into and you don't do this regularly, you don't have webcomics out there, this is the height of arrogance. This is like seeing a girl who you would never talk to normally, and you see her and you say to yourself, hey, can I talk to you? She says, well, I'm engaged. And then you kind of go, okay, yeah, but is he around? Can I still talk to you? Like, come on. Read the situation. Focus on doing what you need to do to make yourself stand out, and then ask questions about that. If you are an established creator, trust me, you're not going to be worried about trying to reach us. But we will obviously sync up at some point. But if you're not, Summer of Manga is, yes, the only way for you to get in. And it's a phenomenal way. Not most people even do stuff like this. Marvel doesn't have a Summer of Manga. They have other stuff. They don't have a Summer of Manga. So the fact that we even do something like this, given how small we are and how busy we are, is enough of a thing for us to say, hey, be happy that we do that and focus on that. Don't worry about trying to figure out some other way to get in. Angel Lewis says, hi, Fred. So the date for Wave 3 was given, but is that a date to sign up for a deadline or hand in all materials deadline? We're not sure yet, to be honest with you, Angel. We're not sure yet. We're going to advise come Monday. Alien, one other question. If I were to make a story that involves some gore but doesn't really have a lot of cussing or adult themes, would that be allowed on Saturday A.M. or would it have to go on Saturday PM? Also, folks, like I just said to Modi, and again, as you all know, I talk very directly. It wasn't an attack on Modi. We get that question so frequently that I just wanted to express why that question always kind of gets under our skin. I mean, it's not just me. Trust me. Some of our other creators are always like, why are they asking us questions like this? And they don't even read Saturday A.M. This question, we get this question a lot too. So let me give this question the same sort of vibrancy. Look, don't worry about whether or not you have gore or so forth and what comic it goes into. Here's the issue. Like as I just said, we had hundreds of people apply. Last year it was about 100 or a little over 100. This year it was hundreds. Next year it could be thousands. Folks, focus on telling a good story. Focus on being competent like Frey and Christina Underbach and Jamie DeJong and some of the creators we've currently published. Focus on competency and telling a good story. Don't worry about the elements of it, because if you're worried about gore, that you've got to ask about it, and then you draw like someone who is barely out of third grade, then the gore is not the issue. Like that's not at that point, it's irrelevant, right? Or if your storytelling ability is just so amateurish that it's sad, like that's not then worrying about whether or not it's got gore or a curse word is irrelevant, right? It doesn't mean anything. You weren't getting in whether you had a story that was perfect. So focus on developing your skills and telling a good story. Good stories can skirt all sorts of problems, right? Except for pornography. But good stories can skirt everything. If you telling a good story, then trust me, we'll figure out ways to work around this and work around that, as will you. But if you're already worried about stuff that you've put into a story and you don't know if your talent level is such that would get you into the magazine, that is problem number one. That's problem number one. If that's like saying, hey, look, I draw decapitated babies. That's what I like to draw. Archie. Can I get into Archie comics?
What?
Can I get into Archie comics? I mean, would y'all consider me? And we haven't seen your artwork, but we know what you said, decapitated babies. It's like that's the wrong question to be worried about. Let's see here. I tend to I don't know if there's any other questions here.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Exactly. So all right, so that looks like that's it. Okay, yes, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a funny little aside. Anyways, folks, look, again, we are way appreciative of all the interest that we get in Saturday A.M. Totally, supremely. You guys are, I cannot put into words how amazing the fan base of Saturday A.M. is. I know that we keep it real, and I'm not going to change that. I'm in my 40s. I'm 20 years older than most of you guys, if not 30. But let's accept one thing here. My belief in each and every one of you guys is sacrosanct. I know that the idea of trying to bring more interesting people into creating comic books is the future. And I want to see, the young man named Redo, I want to see him create the next Spider-Man. I want to see, Jeff Duvall be the next great, horror creator or independent comics creator or so on and so forth. I want to see Christina Endebach have the next hit series. This is what we want to see, because this makes us know that what we've tried to do, which is to shine a light on people who would normally not get a light shine on them because they don't have the money, or they're not in the right circles, or they don't know the right people. This is what diversity means. It's trying to shine a light on everybody who normally doesn't have a light shined on them. And so when we talk to you directly, we're doing it because we do care, and we do want to see you guys succeed, each and every one of you guys. And we will keep doing this. And no matter where you guys end up, trust me, I've seen the notes. That I get from people who are like, you don't know me. I watched some of your YouTube videos back in the day. It helped me get through a tough period, but now I'm a graphic designer. Now I'm an artist, working on my own webcomic. And I just want to thank you for talking about believing in myself and not being afraid to depict things that I'm familiar with, whether I'm Black or Latino or Asian or gay or straight or Irish or Scottish. The fact that you said, hey, believe in what you're doing, tell your stories, and know that there's an audience for it. We've gotten those notes. We know that what we're talking about is right. And more importantly, the fact that you guys are here supporting us is awesome. Thank you for supporting us. We will continue to do right by you guys. We got big things planned. Saturday A.M. is going to get bigger. And trust me, if we get big enough one day, folks, we're taking everybody with us, whether that means you'll be playing some role, or it means that you'll be honored in some way, or it means that you'll have a chance to just get to hang out with us at some convention. We're not going to forget the people who helped us get where we are. We're appreciative of it big time. Jay, anything you want to add?
Soon there's going to be some awesome Hammer news, so definitely keep an eye out because it's going to be big.
Jay, one last thing I want to ask on behalf of all of our fans here. Could you leave us with a final laugh?
Well, I mean, you got to tell a joke, man. I mean, I don't really know.
Look, a spirit.
I got one joke. It's an art joke, and then you guys can just tell your friends. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Broken pencil.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. That was the joke.
No, it's broken pencil. You got to say broken pencil. Who, man?
Broken pencil?
You know what? Never mind. It's pointless.
Oh, my gosh. Jay.
Anyway, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate it.
Support this band, support Hammer. Check out Hammer, folks. We got some really exciting things coming for Hammer soon. Please support this guy. Thank you so much for checking us tonight, folks. We will be back in 2 weeks with the next episode of Pitch Session. We'll have a new guest artist hosting with us, and we'll be reviewing issue number 90. So if you guys want to check it out, it's on our website. It's for 99¢. Likewise, folks, one last quick thing. If you are like, okay, hey, look, Fred said a lot of stuff here. He's made me think. I want to check out Saturday A.M., but I don't want to spend any money. That's okay. That's okay. We have a couple of free issues, and we even have a section for old free issues. So we got about like 6 or 7 issues you can get for free right now. 2 of them you can kind of buy for free, and then 4 of them you can read on our website for free. Go to our website, www.saturday-am.com/free issues, one word, and check out some of our old issues, some of our most recent issues, and then search around the website and download some other issues from there, like issue 88 and 89 for free. Folks, check us out. I think you'll enjoy it. Again, my name is Frederick Jones. I'm the host and founder of Saturday A.M., Saturday P.M., and our parent company, My Footprint. I'm honored to be here with Jay Oden, the creator of Hammer, and we will see you guys next time. Take care, folks.
Peace.
That was great. That was great, Jay. Peace.
Bye.